Today we're going to look at a little scale by the name of MantaBrew. And that is what we got right here. I got it in two different colors. And so what you see is here you got an anodized aluminum color, and here you got a black color here, which is probably also anodized aluminum. It's nice and smooth. Yeah, and anyway, on the back, you've got this nice rubber padding on the bottom. And what's interesting about this one is you can remove actually this part here, put that somewhere else, and you'll see that you've got ports here on one side and ports here on the other side as well. So these ports are for charging up these modules. And they're also magnetic, right? So they just stick on there magnetically. That can be a good thing if you want to stick one of these onto an espresso machine, which is magnetic, for example. So that's pretty interesting. On the back, it's got a on-off button and reset. This has got an on-off button, as does this unit have an on and off button, as does this have an on and off button. So what are we talking about? Look at all these parts that I got here. This is the base module, of course. This is called the module A, which has just got this kind of like text-based display on it. It's a silicone pad that fits on there kind of nicely. And then here we got the module B. So the module B is nice because it's in color, at least it's in white and it's in red. And you got a really nice kind of like, it looks to me kind of like an OLED display there. And this is flippable as well. So this unit is pretty neat and also magnetic. So that's what we're working with. Module A has got different capabilities in comparison to module B. So before I go further with the video, I should let you know that MantaBrew asked me if I would be interested in receiving one of these guys and seeing how it works, making a video for it. I'm not receiving any payment on top of receiving the unit. I have two units, in fact, because the first one I thought was not working properly. So now I have two here, and we're going to kind of compare them because we got module A here, module B here. And what else we're going to do is I thought it would be interesting to just see compared to some other scales, how do these scales compare? So unfortunately, I don't have any weights with me. I don't have any like really specific 100 gram weights. But what we can do at least is tear these scales out and put something on there. Let's just see how they compare, because they all differ a little bit, to be honest. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Let me put this grinder on top. We get 732 grams there, 736 on the Time More. Oh, I gotta turn this guy back on. I forgot about that. One thing that's a little frustrating about these things is that you have to remember to turn on both things. So first this unit as well as this unit. So, okay, I've got to turn back on. That is one of the things that's kind of annoyed me about using these. So let's see. Now it should work properly. Tear, tear. Zeros, zeros, zeros. 733 grams, 736.7 on the Time More. 734.5 on the first MantaBrew, and 715 on the second MantaBrew. So the second MantaBrew, right here, the silver one, is by far the most inaccurate in comparison to the others. Let's just flip these around and see if that makes any difference. And they haven't teared out. Why is that? Okay. 734, 715. Ah, it's automatically tearing. 736, 731. So they all read a little bit something different, but the black one is closer to the Time More as well as this Tanita scale that I have here. So that's a little bit strange. Now this thing is kind of heavy. What if we try with something smaller? 6.9 grams, 6.7, 6.5, 6.6. Okay, well, maybe it's just when it gets heavier that it gets to be a little out of control. Let's see with these guys on there. 43.1, 43.1, 42.3, 42.8. So essentially, as the weight increases, you can see the silver one is a little bit out of whack. Now they do give you instructions on how to calibrate these units. If I had a calibration weight, I would do that. But considering that that's the case, that this one is a little bit off, I'm going to go through the modes on these, but I'm going to primarily use the black one. So let's go ahead and do that.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
Now I do find my main point of contention and why it's taken me so long to make this review is because I do find these scales to be unintuitive. They have, first of all, this guy has got 4 modes, this guy's got 5 modes, and these buttons here on the left and on the right are used for different purposes. So on the left, you turn them on and off. It also takes a while. I don't like so much how long it takes to turn off or to turn on. I'm gonna turn that back on. It takes quite a while. Okay. So now they're both on. This one is defaulted to the portafilter mode. So I don't want the portafilter mode. This one I think is the wait time mode, which is actually the one that I prefer. The weighing timer is pretty nice. I like that. What you can do with the weighing timer is you can first of all tear. So tearing is on the right. I'm gonna tear there, and what's cool about this is that you can kind of practice your flow. So you can see I'm pouring at 6, 5.0, 4.7, and you can also start a timer. So this one I like because it's really manual. So you start and stop the timer as you want, and it shows you, in the meantime, it shows you your flow, your water debit, which is really cool. And that can be really nice for setting up an espresso machine, for example. If you have the ability to set the water debit, like on the Me Coffee Apex, pretty nice. So this also has a mode where you're weighing and you're timing at the same time, but it does not show you your flow per second. So this is like the really basic mode here, just to weigh and to time, and you do it manually. So you can start and stop just by pressing that button and double tap it to reset. Tap it once to tear out. Okay, and back to zeros. And here, double tap to reset and tap to tear out. Oh, see, this one's not working again. This is the reason actually that I requested the black one, because the silver one's kind of going nuts. You can see the numbers are going all over the place. What are you gonna do? All right, so with that being the case, I'm just going to show you the different modes that we have on here. So that is the weighing timing mode. Then if you double tap that, you've got the second mode. So here, if you double tap, then you enter the mode screen, and we're gonna go over to the pour over mode. You have to press this button here to select it. Okay, now we're in pour over mode, and now we're also in pour over mode. So let's just have a look. What does pour over mode do? So first of all, it tears out whatever you put on here as long as it's a certain weight, right? And then as soon as you start pouring, what it does is it starts measuring. So if I want to do, like, let's say a 50-gram pour, then I can do that, and it starts timing at the same time. So a common recipe is to do 50 grams 5 times every 30 seconds or so. So you can do that here, and you'll see that it's got this. Let's bring it up to 100 grams. 89, 95, 100. And you'll see it's got a graph. So that's really neat that it's got the graph here. So you see the weight versus the time on that axis there. It's pretty neat. Pretty cool. And as I said, you can remove this. I don't know if you need to remove it. If you want, you can. So anyhow, yeah, that's what that's doing. And so I do like the pour over mode. I think that's pretty neat. And it's nice to have the graph. Oh, look at this. It told me too. 73 seconds. The water was 262 grams, and the speed was 3.58 grams per second. So pour over, cool feature on this module B. Let's move on. We're going to double press here, pour over espresso mode. So if you enter espresso mode, now both of these have the espresso mode. Double tap. So when you're in espresso mode, what that is for taking a portafilter, you put it on there, oops, and it automatically tears out. See that? And then you can put in some, I'm just gonna use whole beans just for this example. Okay, so let's say that I've got a 16 gram dose. Then to move on, what do you do? Comes with directions. I forgot already. Espresso mode. Okay, tap the power button to switch to extraction mode. Power. All right, now we're in extraction mode. So now, at least 50. All right, so now I've gone from the portafilter to the espresso mode, and now it's automatically teared out my container. And now now when I got my espresso flowing, you can see the animation here of espresso coming in there. That's pretty cool. And okay, it also times, so I'm at 7 seconds, 8 seconds. Normally it's not so fast, of course, as this. I'm just showing you an example of the espresso mode. All right, and then once you're done with your extraction, you remove the cup. It will notice that your extraction is done, and you can start over with the next one. All right, moving on. If we double tap, we can go into flow practice mode. So flow practice, what is that? Here you can just practice your flow. So if I'm going for 5 grams per second, you can see it's not that easy. 4.3. It's really not that easy. 4.8 and so forth. So that is flow practice mode. And now this is a mode that I like quite a bit on this B module. What you can do if you tap to the next mode, go into a coffee water ratio. All right, now as for the coffee water ratio, let's make a coffee together because I do quite like this one. So, but we do have to get everything set up first so that we don't screw up the sequencing later. So we've got to get our filter put in. Let's wet the filter first a little bit so that it attaches nicely to the outside of this Hario switch. So we got to prepare everything before going to the next step. And that is something that I find unintuitive about this scale, is that you have to follow all the steps. You got to remember which steps to follow. We're all teared out. We got to add our coffee first. So I'm going to use 15 grams in this example. And then we're going to press this button here to go further. And now we have to choose our coffee ratio, 1 to 15, 1 to 16. Let's do 1 to 15 and a half. Why not? And now this is a part that I find pretty counterintuitive. You have to hit both buttons at the same time, and now you can start. So what I want to say is Coffee Chronicler has got a really good recipe for the Hario switch, in which you do a bypass mode for the first half, and you do an immersion mode for the second half. So what we're going to do is pour in until we reach a 7.5 or 7.7. I'm going to pour in the middle towards the outside, and then back in towards the middle. 7.7. Oh, I passed it up a little bit. And we're going to let that run through until we hit 45 seconds. Then we're going to close it at 45 seconds. And we're going to add the second half. Go from inside to out. And remember, we're looking to reach that 15.5 ratio. So 13.5, 14, oh, just turned red, 15.5. All right, so that's it. And then if I remember right, at 2 minutes, then I open it up and let this immersion brew go down on top of our first bypass brew. And I have to say, this is a nice mode for just being able to keep track of your ratios. That's kind of a nice thing. Let's open that sucker up. All right, while that's draining, what do I think about this MantaBrew scale? And is it worth the price? Because I do think that if you're going to get it, I really do prefer this module B with it. The price it's a little bit on the higher side, but luckily it is at least available now. You can buy it. It's not a Kickstarter thing. It offers a lot more functionality than do other ones, such as the Time More that I've got here. Honestly, I find myself reaching for the Time more often just because it's much more simple to use. All you gotta do is turn it on and start and stop as you want, tear as you want. It's very simple. And I find that that's kind of the issue with, I think, me as I get older. I find if something's not immediately intuitive, if something's not, for me, right away logical, it's hard for me to remember the steps. And you do have to remember the steps with this particular scale. Okay, we're done now. You have to know when to do which part in some of these modes. So that's all I have to say about that. I do think that you can get used to it if you put some time and effort into it. If it's your only scale, you'll learn it quickly enough. And I was a little bit against the odds because mine was sent with both modules, both the B and the A. And I also had to figure out that, for example, that you have to turn off both things. I was running out of battery pretty quickly because I was leaving them on. Eventually they go into standby. But if you don't turn the main module off, it will lose its battery much more quickly than if you turn it off. And then when you come back to it, you gotta press a while before that turns on. And then it doesn't give you any indication that there's anything wrong. You put something on there and you see, oh, nothing's happened. Oh, that's right. I gotta switch on the back part too. But now it's up to you guys. What do you think about this scale? Is it interesting for you? And if so, why don't you write into the comments what you think is interesting? Either module A here or module B here. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy espresso drinking. Bye now. Where are you going?